Hey everybody, thanks for checking back. I wanted to put out an extra video this week because there's been a lot of things going on in the news. And obviously there are always a lot of things going on in the news, but when it pertains to mental health, I think it's really important that we talk about these different stories and topics so that we can offer up tips and helpful advice for anyone who may be in a similar situation. And the first story that I want to talk about is what's going on with Austin Jones. For those of you who don't know, Austin Jones is a musician and a YouTuber. He has over 500,000 subscribers, and he is now facing 30 years in prison for manipulating and grooming young girls. And I don't use those terms lightly. The things that he's done, I will link in the description to Phil DeFranco's video about it because he goes into way more depth on it. But to give you a short synopsis of what has taken place over the last year or more, potentially, Austin Jones has been found guilty of messaging either through text or iMessage or Facebook message with girls who are his fans who he knows are underage. The two that they've reported on are 14 and 15 years old. He messages them and asks them to put together videos of them twerking, all the while saying certain things, saying their age and saying that they're twerking for him. He even sends a video to one of the girls to show her how to do it. It gets really gross. And I don't know how else to say it other than it just gets really out of hand. And that's why I'm calling it manipulation and grooming. And if any of you don't know what grooming is, it's something that's done in sexual abuse most predominantly. Now, the type of grooming that I'm talking about today is when you use your fame or celebrity or your reputation as a whole to get someone to do something for you. And I hope you'll watch Phil DeFranco's video because he gives all the details and shows the actual quotes of these messages that were sent back and forth. But during those, you can see that Austin asked the girls to twerk and to film themselves doing it, to say these things. And when one of the girls acts like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, or I'm uncomfortable, I don't really want to, he comments about how they could be his biggest fan, and if they were his biggest fan, they would do it. And he wants his biggest fans to feel confident. And I'm calling this grooming because what Austin is doing is holding his celebrity over the heads of these fans. These are fans of his. They watch his videos, they listen to his music, and they may have crushes on him. And they're only 14 to 15 years old, and I believe he's 24 years old. I know that he's like 23 or 24. He's an adult. He's a grown man, and these are children, and he is preying on them and using his celebrity to get them to do things that he wants so that and he even said this in an interview, so that he can essentially masturbate to these videos later. This story disgusts me. Austin Jones disgusts me. I hope he gets 30 years in prison because he deserves it. He's done this repeatedly. They've interviewed him. I guess there was like I said, watch the Phil DeFranco video, but I guess there was an interview that had taken place prior to any of this coming out where he had waived his Miranda rights. He talked to them honestly and openly, saying that he did engage with underage girls. He said that he knew they were underage and he still engaged with it. It's disgusting. As Phil DeFranco would say, he's a garbage person and he deserves to be in prison. But the reason that I want to talk about this is because of the act of grooming and what that means and how important it is that we understand it so that if we see someone in our life going through something like this, that we can reach out, we can try to get them help. And if we find ourselves personally in a situation like this, hopefully we can reach out to someone else, know that it's never your fault. Just because you went along with something because you didn't understand or you felt that they were holding something over your head or were giving you a gift, how are you supposed to know that that's right or wrong? Grooming works for a reason, as disgusting as that sounds. So if you find someone who's offering you very expensive gifts or trips or asking you to lie to your parents or your other friends so that they don't know really where you are and you're able to be left alone with them, if you are watching a YouTuber and someone that you see as a celebrity and they're asking you to do something that you're uncomfortable with, know that you never have to do that. You don't have to do anything to be someone's biggest fan. Don't ever let someone tell you something like that because you are fine just as you are. You are wonderful just as you are. And don't allow someone to utilize any of their power to get you to do things that you're uncomfortable with. If you feel uncomfortable, tell someone about it. Tell a family friend, tell a parent if you're comfortable, tell a close friend or a teacher, tell anyone about it because it happens without us realizing it. We get caught in situations and it can be really hard to get out. And the sooner we reach out, the better. Know that you're not alone. This happens a lot, unfortunately, but the sooner we recognize it, the sooner we reach out to someone we think it might be happening to, the less likely sexual abuse or assault or any of the terrible things that come along with grooming, the less likely that is to happen. Also, I want to add that grooming can also look like sharing secrets with you and telling you to keep secrets and then using intimidation to keep you subdued and so that you won't speak up. If you feel any of that happening, please talk to someone. And lastly, I will link in the description some resources so you can reach out, so you can report child abuse if you know it's happening, if you sense it's happening to someone in your life, or if you feel it's happening to you. I will link in the description some resources so that you can get the help that you so desperately need and deserve. The second story I want to talk about today is the unfortunate suicide of Conrad Roy. And this, if you haven't heard about this, the reason this is even in the news is because his girlfriend at the time, Michelle Carter, encouraged him to kill himself via text message. And everything you do online, I don't know if you are aware of this, but every message you send, every text, every email, every comment you make can be found. And in this case, thank God, because he was struggling with suicidal thoughts and depression. He had been in and out of the hospital, I believe they said 4 or 5 times, and he'd attempted suicide before, and he'd reached out to his girlfriend Michelle when he was going through a really depressive episode and having intense suicidal thoughts. And when he reached out to her saying, I don't know if I want to do it, she told him to get back in the car. He was attempting to kill himself using carbon monoxide. And so he'd gotten out of his truck and she was like, get back in the truck. And you'll feel so much freer and better. You should do it. I thought you were going to do it today. And a lot of manipulating and just horrific text messages. And it ended in him killing himself in July of 2014. Now this is back in the news because the trial just finished. It can take a while, if any of you don't know, for things to be brought to trial, for them to have time in their schedules to have things happen. And so the trial just ended and Michelle Carter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And I want to talk about this story because it's so important who's on our list to reach out to. You know how I always encourage you, even in my suicide safety plan, I have you put 5 different people you can call or text down on a list so that you can get a hold of them when you're really struggling. I can't tell you how important it is that those people are trustworthy, are loving, are the ones that want us to get better. If you ever reach out to a friend or a support in any way about any kind of struggle you're having, whether it's I don't want to eat today and you're struggling with the eating disorder, I want to self-injure, I want to drink and you're a recovering alcoholic, if you're having suicidal thoughts, anything, if they ever come back to you encouraging you to do the negative behavior, mark them off your list. Do not reach out to them ever again. Because I know how hard it is to reach out when we need it most. And if the person you're reaching out to when we're in that vulnerable position is telling us to do the thing that we're trying to not do, in this case, kill ourselves, we are so vulnerable to that. And I believe that if she had instead told him to get out of the truck and to meet her at the coffee shop so they can talk it out, had encouraged him to seek help, that Conrad would still be alive today. And it's because of this that I encourage you to reach out to suicide hotlines like the crisis text line. I've heard from many of you. 7 Cups of Tea is another great resource. Finding a reputable source when you're really struggling is so vitally important because sometimes there are people like Michelle who are going to tell us to kill ourselves, going to tell us not to eat, going to tell us to do the thing that we're trying not to do, and they're not going to be a positive influence. And we need to have someone else there to help us. Make sure that the people that you're going to reach out to, at least one needs to be a reputable source, meaning therapist, crisis text line, parent or family member that you know you can trust, friend that's always been supportive, never said anything negative, always encouraging you to be better and to fight harder against the mental illness that you're struggling with. Make sure you have at least one of those and make that your first call. Her team tried to argue that because she was struggling herself that, misery loves company, but that's no excuse for bullying. That's no excuse for encouraging someone to harm themselves. Take those people off your list. Make sure that and I'll link in the description for the crisis text line, 7 Cups of Tea, all of the resources that I know are available when you're struggling. So those are the 2 stories I want to talk about today. But as always, this is just me giving you my thoughts and my advice based on what I know. What do you know? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about things that are going on right now and how can we better help? Because as always, we're a community helping each other work towards a healthy mind and a healthy body. And I will see you next time. Bye!